Hello patron, and welcome back to my life. Writer Wednesday, where I give you my tips and advice on the art and the business of writing, tell you how I do what I do as an indie author. And today is the final catch-up video of Writer Wednesday. Again, I want to apologize for the weeks that I've missed. We're caught up now. Not going to let that happen again in the future, okay? Okay. Today's question comes from Joseph Klunder, known as Klundyman in Vlog a Novel and on the Discord server, and he wanted to know how I build and run my indie publishing company. Big question, I'm letting you know right off the bat, this is going to take up multiple videos. I think two. I think we're good with two. So I'll just say right off the bat that in terms of the financial and legal aspects of running the company, I know almost nothing about that. For example, Legacy Books is an S-Corp. A lot of people, when they form their indie publishing companies, form LLCs instead. Megan and our accountant looked at all the data and decided that an S-Corp would be better. Why? I don't know, but I have complete faith in Megan, so when she said that's what we needed to do, I said, sure! Similarly, Legacy operates on very simple contracts with our authors. I draw up the terms, Megan looks them over, and we turn them into an actual legal signed document. It's very simple. It's simple because I'm in no way a legal expert, so I can't offer you any legal advice on how to make sure you do whatever it is you need to do legally to run your company. Again, this is not my area of expertise. Instead, I'm going to talk about some general points about the culture and relationships you should foster in your company, both within the company itself and the people that you hire outside of it. Most of these points are taken from the way I have seen other indies run their companies and what I have seen them do wrong, as well as in some cases what I've seen them do right. The very first thing is you gotta let the people in your company do their job. I've seen lots of examples where indies have hired people but then have micromanaged them so extensively that the people they hired had to walk. We are indies. We usually start off doing literally everything on our own. So when somebody else steps in to take some of the job away from us, we tend to want to keep our fingers in the pie. You can't do that. It's not your pie anymore. Let the people that you hired do their job. And I will refer you back to the moment where Megan looked at the data and said that an S-Corp was the correct thing, and I said, cool! I didn't, ask to be briefed. I didn't look at all of the data myself. That is her job. If she says that's what we're supposed to do, that's what we're gonna do. Kind of related to that, but kind of not, but not really deserving of its own point. You also need to be clear in your directions. This means you need to let people know what their job is so that they can do it without your interference, but it also means you can't keep switching up what they're supposed to be doing. I've experienced this. It just drives people crazy. If you tell them to do a thing, you cannot then tell them to do another thing before that thing is finished. You can give them a list of things, but then don't give them a whole new list of things. Obviously, sometimes you do have to switch midstream, but just from a personal interaction viewpoint, you got to at least acknowledge, hey, I know you're working on this thing. I need you to stop that because new data has come to light and I actually need you to be doing this thing. I don't mind having my priorities switched and being moved from one job to the next. I really mind when somebody switches my priorities without just acknowledge that that is what I was doing and that this is a switch. Because too often, when somebody switches without acknowledging the switch, later they will go back and say, why didn't you ever do that thing, by the way? And it's like, because you told me not. You said to do the other thing. Little just like wrapping up one thing before moving on to the next, even if the wrap up is we're abandoning this for now, that that goes so far in just smoothing machinery. Okay, all right, second big point on all of this. Please, for the love of God, be fair. Be more than fair in the way you conduct business. Way too many startup indie companies, and this does not just go for publishing, it goes for a lot of other companies as well, they are aggressively unfair to the people that they bring on. They ask people to do way too much work, far too quickly, for far too little pay. This is also very common in tech startup companies, but tech startup companies tend to do a thing which I have taken a page from that book for Legacy Books, which is that they give the employees an actual share in the company. So there's this story that when Google was starting up, they had this cafeteria chef, and the cafeteria chef was being paid minimum wage, and he had to feed everybody on a shoestring budget, and he could have gone and found a better job, but he liked the company, he liked the people, and so he stuck around. And because he was there at the beginning, he got stock options in the company. So when Google became Google, that cafeteria chef was suddenly a millionaire. And as far as I know, he retired and lives in Beverly Hills. I see so many indie authors asking for so much for so many people while giving so little in return without giving those people a share in their success. Again, we as indie authors, we are used to doing a ton of work for very long days for almost no money when we are first starting out. But then if our books ever become Amazon #1 bestsellers or like just take off, we get tens of thousands of dollars or more. The people working for us don't, generally. And like, you can't just promise. You can't just be like, oh, well, when we blow up, when we get big, we're gonna take you with us. No, like, what? Numbers. What are the numbers? Because trust me, I worked in the LA film industry forever, and I worked on so many crews with, like, you know, early directors, and it was one of their early projects, and they were like, yeah, man, like, when I grow up and become a big director and I'm directing big budget films, I'm gonna bring you with me. You're always gonna be on my crew. Most of them didn't blow up. Some of them did. I'm not on their crews. Numbers. Tell me. You blow up, you make a whole crap ton of money, what do I get? And it might sound extreme to say that every indie publisher should give all of its employees a tangible stake in the company, but like, why the hell not? You're asking for a lot and hoping that your company is going to be successful. If it is, you should try to give back to the people who helped you create it. Right now, the only other full-time employee of Legacy Books is Megan. She's my wife, so she just kind of benefits materially from my success already. But she is actually my business partner. It's actually in the documentation. She has her own separate pay scale that is distinct from mine, with like bonuses and everything for good production by the company. And that's going to be the case for any other full-time employee we bring on in the future, especially now during our startup phase. We're asking for a lot, and we can't pay people what they're worth. So if people are going to take a risk and work with us anyway and take that gamble, we want to pay them back if the company wins. And as for the freelancers that we hire and work with, we never look for cut rate freelancers. We never try and negotiate pay down. We always pay a fair rate. And when we're able to do so, we give our freelancers voluntary raises and bonuses. They are all of them, our editors, our cover artists, they are worth so much more than what we can afford to give them right now. So when we can give more, we do. All of our cover artists have received voluntary raises as our company has continued to grow and expand. Because, I mean, have you seen our new covers? Like, my God. And again, personal stake and share and everything like that, we sell posters, right, of that cover art. And 50% of the profits of those posters go to the artist. Now, to be totally honest, we don't sell any of those posters, but I think that once we're a little bit bigger, we probably will. And I want those artists to be invested in that. You do not want to be known as the person who's cheap or miserly or underpays your workers. That sort of reputation is death in an industry like this one, where it's so small and everything is interconnected. Everybody knows everybody. So if you treat somebody not super great, everybody's going to know about it. And as a final point on this specific subtopic, you gotta be fair to your authors as well. Talking indie publishing, we all know that indie authors and self-published authors get a much larger percentage of their book sales than traditionally published authors do. Typically, traditional publishers will only give their authors 15% of the book price when the book sells. Indie authors get 70% on Amazon and most other platforms. That's a huge difference. But traditional publishers put in a lot of work to compensate for that percentage gap. Yes, they use an antiquated business model. No, I do not approve or like agree with all of their business practices, but they do that work, right? If you're an indie publisher publishing other authors, if you're not doing the work that a traditional publisher would do, if you're not doing book tours, media appearances, if you're not placing them in bookstores, if you are not doing all of the work that a traditional publisher would, you can't take the same percentage that a traditional publisher would. Our agreement at Legacy Books is much more of a business partnership. We are in business publishing their books together. And our split with our authors reflects that relationship. Yes, the authors are being provided with a world in which to write. Yes, we will be taking care of the production costs for the books. But getting down to brass tacks, our authors just flat out are going to be putting way more man hours into the books than Megan and I are, and the royalty split with our authors reflects that. So obviously the topic of running an indie publishing company is way huge, it's very big, and it's too big for one video. Next week, I'll talk more about this and talk more about how we're managing the relationship with our authors, not on the business and the money side, but on the artistic side, the creation of the books themselves. If there's more things or more specific things you want to know about being an indie publishing company or how we're doing it, please let me know in the comments below. I will either address it in next week's video or I will do a separate video and it will become a multi-part video series on these topics. That is it for today, patron. I want to thank Klundyman for the awesome question. It's a big one, but I'm kind of digging it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you as always for your incredible support, and I will see you next Wednesday. For real this time. Bye!